Hello, I'm Rascador. Today, I'm going to do the 43rd Gangnam fuel economy test on my way home from work. Today's test drive will be in my vehicle, not the support vehicle. The test vehicle model is the BMW F80 M3. This vehicle is equipped with a 3000cc gasoline twin-turbo engine model. In the case of the 2016 M3 model, the maximum output is 431 horsepower and the maximum torque is 56.1 kg/h. In addition, 0 to 100 km/h is a high-performance model with a whopping 4.1 seconds. I'm curious about the fuel economy test results on my way home from work in Gangnam with this vehicle, so I'm going to take a video. The vehicle to be compared with this vehicle today is not a direct competitor, but we are going to compare the 5 vehicles we have tested before: Veloster N, Genesis G80 3.5 gasoline turbo, Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo, and K9 3.8 gasoline naturally aspirated vehicle. First, the F80 5th generation M3 model was certified for combined fuel efficiency of 9.6 km/L and city fuel economy of 8.4 km/L. Highway fuel economy isn't covered in this test, but you can consider it pretty decent at 11.5 km/L. However, from the point of view of the car owner, if you go on a complicated road like Gangnam, the fuel economy actually comes out as 7 km/L. So I'm curious to see how much fuel economy will drop on the way home from work, so I'll test it. First of all, the price of the car is 170 million won. Recently, in the case of a 5th generation M3 vehicle, the used car market price is in the range of 30 to 40 million won, so I would like to talk a little about maintenance costs for those who are interested in this vehicle. Today's temperature is about 9 degrees. This vehicle is equipped with Hankook Ventus S1 Evo 3 tires. The rear wheels are fitted with 275/33 19-inch tires and the front wheels are fitted with 255/35 19-inch tires. Arrive at Guro Digital Complex Station. It is about 2.8 kilometers to this point, and the fuel economy is 5.7 km/L. In fact, I didn't expect much because I saw a lot of the worst fuel economy while riding this vehicle, but it can be seen that it comes out with fuel economy of about 5 to 6 km/L. It seems to be going slowly, but now it is going at a constant speed of 60 km/h. I will continue to drive at the speed limit even if other vehicles are passing quickly. The Veloster N took 13 minutes to get here. This vehicle took 17 minutes to get here, and the fuel economy differs from the Veloster by only 1 km/L. And the Genesis G80 3.5 gasoline turbo model took 12 minutes with a fuel economy of 4.6 km/L. Looking at it this way, this car has better fuel economy than I thought. And the Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo model took 13 minutes and the fuel economy was about 4 km/L. So, it can be seen that the fuel economy of Hyundai's 3.0 lineup, namely the 3.3 and 3.5 turbo, is not as good at low speeds as expected. And in the case of the K9, it took 10 minutes to get here with a 3.8 gasoline naturally aspirated engine, but the fuel economy was 4.2 km/L, so the fuel economy was not so good because it was a large vehicle. Many of you may be wondering about the maintenance cost of this vehicle. Most want to see the M3 and buy it, but worry about the cost of gas or maintenance being too high. In my experience, if you refuel for 80,000 won with premium fuel, you can drive about 350 kilometers on average. And if you run only on the highway, it seems to run about 400 to 450 kilometers if you drive at a constant speed. And if you drive at a safe speed of about 100 km/h on the highway, the fuel economy seems to come out around 11 to 12 km/L. And when I ran on downtown Seoul roads like Gangnam, the fuel economy was about 7 to 8 km/L. However, these vehicles have high fuel costs when driven at high speeds. When driving this car at high speed, fuel economy can reach up to 3 km/L, but when driving like this, you have to calculate twice the usual fuel price. In the case of engine oil, even if it is replaced once a year, about 6 to 7 liters are consumed at a time. And most importantly, tires. Some people think that M3 tires need to be changed every 10,000 kilometers, but in reality this is not the case. When you wind up at high speed or go on a circuit, the story is a little different. But if you drive like this as a daily car, it's not that much. Now, the tires for this vehicle are equipped with Hankook Tire S1 Evo 3. These tires have different front and rear tire sizes, but on average, the cost of replacing 4 pairs is usually around 1 million won. First of all, in the case of the S1 Evo 3, the tread wear is about 300. Multiply by 220 to easily calculate this. Then the approximate replacement cycle of this tire will come out. For the tires fitted to this vehicle, multiply by 220 to get 66,000 kilometers. Therefore, it means that you only need to change tires once every 66,000 kilometers, but in fact, considering the rear-wheel drive and strong torque of a high-powered vehicle, it would be better to change tires once every 30,000 kilometers. So, if you drive 10,000 kilometers a year, I will assume that you replace it about once every 3 years. Of course, mileage and tread wear will vary greatly depending on driving habits, temperature and whether or not winter tires are installed. First of all, it's hard to say that the S1 Evo 3 model is such a good tire for those who drive the circuit with the M3 or drive a little sportily. Those who do circuit use a lot of Michelin PS4 tires. In the case of PS4 tires, I know that the treadwear is about 3 million won. Still, in terms of price, if 4 Hankook tires cost 1 million won, the Michelin PS4 costs about 2 million won. And since it is a tire used for sporty driving, I think it will wear out faster. I'm not the sporty driving type, so I can't tell you exactly about this. So, putting all the above stories together, if this is the maintenance cost, it is not a car that I would recommend to newcomers to society. However, if you have a family car and want a fun drive vehicle while commuting with a daily car, I would like to recommend this vehicle. I'll talk a little bit more about this story in a moment. I just passed Seoul station. Fuel economy is currently 7.1 km/L, showing better fuel economy than expected. I'll drive a little more to Seoul National University station and talk about the rest. I arrived at Seoul National University station. The fuel economy is 6.8 km/L, but the auto and stop function is used so that the fuel economy does not drop as much as expected. If you continue to restart with the auto and stop function, it may put a strain on the vehicle, so I do not normally use this function. However, I have used the auto and stop functions in other vehicles when I did a fuel economy test on the way home from work, so today I will try to use them a little under the same conditions. To this point, the Veloster N 2.0 gasoline turbo model took 30 minutes and achieved a fuel economy of 8.1 km/L. For reference, this Veloster N is a manual model. And the G83.5 gasoline turbo model took 29 minutes to get here and the fuel economy was 6.2 km/L. In the case of the Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo model, it took 32 minutes to get here and the fuel economy was 6.1 km/L. Then, K9 3.8 gasoline model took 32 minutes and achieved a fuel economy of 5.5 km/L. So on average it takes 30 to 35 minutes to get to this area, but now it's less than 40 minutes, so today seems a little more clogged than other days. In fact, I didn't like the BMW M series that much. This is because I thought it was a high-performance 3 Series that only changed the engine from the 320d and became sporty. But when you actually drive it, it's a good car overall satisfaction. Usually, this vehicle costs about 100 million won, but I know that the recent G86 generation M3 also costs about 100 million to 120 million won. Of course, the price is quite expensive as the 4-wheel drive system and various convenience specifications are added. In fact, at this price, you might think buying a Porsche is better than a BMW. But definitely riding this vehicle has many benefits. So, as a daily car, the BMW M series is showing a good performance as a high-performance model. I want to buy a Porsche next to this car when I get a little better, but I think this car is a good car to practice before buying a Porsche. This is because high-output vehicles are really important for maintenance and vehicle management. In addition to car washing, preheating, post-heating, engine oil management, and preventive maintenance are really important. That's why you can experience this for a fraction of the price of a Porsche. So, if you buy an M3 and feel that the maintenance, fuel economy, and management are better than you thought, you may want to buy a Porsche. The M3 model has a good ride and output of 400 horsepower. Besides, the exhaust sound is better than expected. However, M3 owners change a lot of exhaust vents to Akrapovic, and I think I know the reason. As soon as the engine is turned on, an enormous exhaust sound is emitted, so during hold start, the starting sound is so loud that the surroundings resonate quite widely. On the other hand, when I drive, I understand why I want a Akrapovic because I feel a bit disappointed. Overall, the exhaust sound feels a little lacking from the owner's point of view. But in general, I would like to say that it is a 3000cc class high-performance model with a good balance and not bad. I've alternated between the M2 and M3, and the M2 model is definitely more fun than the M3 model. Because the car is small, handling and overall driving feel are more attractive in the M2. However, the suspension is very stiff compared to a general luxury sedan to use as a daily car. Nevertheless, the M-Car's suspension is a big plus, as it can be adjusted to Sport, Sport Plus and Sport Comfort. In terms of comfort, the M3 is surprisingly more comfortable than the M2. At first, I was very worried that I could ride this car as a daily car, but I am very satisfied with it. But personally, among the M3 and Avante N, I think the Avante N manual model is a little more fun. So, if you want a fun car, I really recommend the Avante N in terms of price. And for those who want to drive the M series before buying a Porsche, we recommend the BMW M3 or M4. The M2 is great for going to the circuit, but it hurts my back a lot when I ride it every day or drive long distances on the highway. And while the M4 is a bit prettier, it's actually a little more convenient to load and use the M3 because it's a 4-door. Considering the comprehensive factors, in the case of the F80 5th generation M3 these days, the price is better than expected. But when buying a used car, you really need to look at the history a lot. M3, M4 strangely, there are too many accidents. A car with simple paint or exterior work is okay, but it is better to avoid a used car with sheet metal or excessive tuning. In particular, if a problem occurs in a car that has been heavily tuned, it is difficult to find the exact cause of the problem. That's why it's a good idea to buy a car with a known history or used by someone you know. I am near Bangbei station now. Up to this point, the fuel economy is 7.5 kilometers liter, which is compliant. Now, after passing Gangnam, the most difficult course, the Yeoksum and Samsung sections, remains. I wonder what the fuel economy results will be today. So let's drive a little more. Arrived at Yeoksum station. Up to this point, the fuel economy was 7.5 kilometers L, and the travel time was 1 hour and 12 minutes. The Veloster N took about an hour and the fuel economy was 8.1 kilometers. I don't think there is much difference in fuel economy between the two cars. And the G80 gasoline turbo 3.5 model took 1 hour and 4 minutes to get here, showing a fuel economy of 6.9 kilometers. And the Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo model took 1 hour and 17 minutes, resulting in a fuel economy of 6.1 kilometers. And the K9 3.8 gasoline naturally aspirated model took 1 hour and 7 minutes and the fuel economy was 5.6 kilometers. This vehicle arrived a little later than the G80, but maintains a fuel economy of 7 kilometers. The auto stop feature certainly helps with fuel economy more than expected on these congested roads. If this function had not been used, the fuel economy would have been around 6 kilometers. Many people think that the maintenance cost of the M3 is too expensive, but it's worth riding more than you think. Any vehicle, unless it's a Ferrari, will have similar maintenance costs to regular 3.0 vehicles like the Stinger 3.3, 3.5, or G80. But when this car breaks down, it's really hard. What I felt while riding this car is that you have to spend a lot of money or put a little effort in order to ride an imported car. For example, I recently bought spark plugs from a BMW service center while the vehicle was being serviced. Because it is a 6-cylinder engine, a total of 6 spark plugs with the M logo are used. The total cost of parts alone is 250,000 won. However, it is also available from Bosch under the same part number. To be precise, it is manufactured by Bosch, and the BMW M logo is engraved and delivered to BMW. These spark plugs made by Bosch have the same codename, but are priced at 90,000 won for 6. So if you have a lot of information you can use cheap parts. Of course, there is a story that it is better if it has the M logo, but if the product number is the same, you can honestly say that it is the same. So the more information you have, the more you can think of it as a car worth riding. And premium oil is essential for M3 vehicles. In fact, if you're only driving around town, you don't really need premium fuel. However, if breakdowns such as knocking, which can occur due to vehicle condition or not using high-quality oil, continue, the engine may suffer someday, so it is recommended to use premium oil. In the case of engine oil, even if it is not made in Germany, I think it is better to use a product such as Mobil 1 in case of BMW genuine engine oil or synthetic oil. As mentioned above, considering the ride comfort, fun, and output, I think this vehicle is a really good model for a daily car. There is an evaluation that fuel economy is also bad, but 7.5 kilometers on the way home from Gangnam seems to be okay. This is because fuel economy is slightly better than the G80 or Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo models that we are comparing now. Now this vehicle is also a used car, so if possible, I would like to ride the new M3 and compare it. Arrive at Seoul station. I'll go a little further and check the fuel economy at Samsung station and finish at Jamsil station. Arrived at Samsung station. I drove about 20.8 kilometers to this point, but the fuel economy is 7.1 kilometers. This section was blocked a lot, but not as clogged as I thought. To this point, the Veloster N took 1 hour and 56 minutes, and the fuel consumption was 6.6 kilometers. The G80 3.5 gasoline turbo model was 1 hour and 48 minutes, about 11 minutes later than this vehicle, but showed fuel economy of 6 kilometers. And the Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo model showed fuel economy of 5.3 kilometers in 1 hour and 49 minutes. Finally, the K9 gasoline naturally aspirated model showed fuel economy of 4.9 kilometers in 1 hour and 35 minutes. Now, the auto and stop functions work well until Gyeonggi station, but I can't do it well after passing Yeoksum station. I used a lot of battery, so I think the effect of that function is missing a lot now. So the fuel economy went up to 7.56, and now it has dropped to about 7 kilometers L. There are usually very few cases where there is a blockage from here to Jamsil, so I will run all the way and check the fuel economy at the end. Arrive at Jamsil station. The travel time is 1 hour and 54 minutes, and the fuel consumption is 7.2 kilometers. To this point, the Veloster N 2.0 gasoline turbo model took 2 hours and 13 minutes, and the fuel economy was 6.8 kilometers. The G80 3.5 gasoline turbo model took 2 hours and 4 minutes and the fuel economy was 6.2 kilometers. And the Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo model took 2 hours and 8 minutes and the fuel economy was 5.4 kilometers. Finally, the naturally aspirated K9 3.8 gasoline took 1 hour and 15 minutes to get here, and the fuel economy was 5 kilometers. So, as a result, the unexpected result was that the Veloster N 2.0 gasoline turbo was a manual transmission vehicle, and it took about 18 minutes longer, but I was surprised that the fuel economy differed by only 0.4. Also, in the case of the M3 I tested today, I would like to say that the fuel economy is better than expected because the fuel economy is slightly better than the rest of the G80 gasoline or Stinger 3.3 gasoline turbo models. Again, this test is the result of safe driving to and from work. Please note that this is a car that can achieve fuel economy of up to 3 to 4 kilometers during high-speed driving. If you have any questions about this vehicle, please leave a comment. Today, I reviewed the BMW F80 5th generation M3 model. It was a meaningful test in that it was reviewed as a high-performance vehicle. I hope to test it with a Ferrari-like car later. Who rides a car like that on a blocked road? Or will it eat a lot of oil? You can think so. However, it would be appreciated if you know that this car may be a little better than the G80 or Stinger that runs on the road than you think, and it doesn't use as much gas as you think. Today's test ends here. Thank you.